Our final evening in Kaohsiung, we went to see some of the remaining touristy locations. Formosa subway station has the Dome of Light, an illuminated stained glass ceiling telling the story of human life through 4 elemental stages. Water, the womb; earth, prosperity and growth; light, the creative spirit; and fire, destruction and rebirth, with an overall message of love and tolerance. Once an hour, they darken the dome and project an animated version of the same story onto the floor. Commuters must hate having to navigate the mass of tourists gawking up at the ceiling or down at the ground while blocking the way. The city's most iconic building is 85 Sky Tower. However, the tower is temporarily closed and it's not illuminated at night except for some office windows, a few aircraft warning lights, and a glass area at the very top, which all makes it appear very menacing.
Like an evil villain's lair.
For reference, this model at the base of the tower is how it would look lit up. Nearby Kaohsiung Public Main Library is the opposite, completely illuminated inside and out. Done with sightseeing, our last Taiwanese dinner was at Daoping Beef Noodles, because John had to have braised beef noodle soup at least one more time. They also had a saucy and tasty vegetarian noodle option for Heike. The next morning was our flight out of Taiwan. It was a fun week in the island country, and we would definitely recommend visiting. Just remember, only pack clothing made of wicking materials.
And a sweat towel.
As our HK Express plane approached Hong Kong, the water below became littered with huge container ships, all loaded up and sailing away from the land.
That's how the rest of the world gets stuff labeled Made in China.
We took the train from the airport to Mong Kok, which is technically in Kowloon on the north side of Victoria Harbour, across from Hong Kong Island.
Like North Vancouver is to downtown.
After checking into Club Mong Kok, our extremely white hotel,
Decor, not clientele.
we hit Sim Chai Kee noodles so John could try wonton noodles, a soup made of thin egg noodle, chives, umami broth, and large shrimp and pork wontons. It was excellent. John was craving spicy, so he added what he considered a moderate amount of chili oil. Apparently the woman behind the counter thought this guilo had way overdone the spice. She freaked out and had the cook bring out an extra bowl of broth to cut the chili. John had made the spice level perfect for just a bit of heat. It would take a lot more than some chili oil to have him wincing, but he wasn't going to complain about getting an extra bowl of that delicious broth. Afterwards, we decided to walk south to the harbor. On the way, we passed through a wholesale fruit market, then a red light district of sorts, with alternating stalls of drug paraphernalia, ridiculous underwear,
Like a shiny elephant face with big floppy ears and a trunk for your junk.
and sex toys, followed by several blocks of obvious prostitutes. Yep, when they loiter in front of dark doorways, wearing minuscule dresses, stilettos, and tons of makeup, it's obvious. We didn't get pics or video here. We didn't need a pimp after us for upsetting his stable. After the neighborhood transitioned back into a more palatable high-end shopping district, we reached Victoria Harbour and what we,
And thousands of other people.
came for: the famous Hong Kong skyline at night. This was the money shot, even if our selfie doesn't do it justice. We strolled up and down the promenade, including past the Bruce Lee statue, taking in the plethora of lights and signs. Mong Kok is known for its markets, all grouped by streets: hardware, home decor, purses, you name it. We visited the bags and souvenir street to get a magnet, then the sneaker street just to see all of the shoes. John still doesn't understand. The stores have essentially the same stuff at the same price. Why are they in the same spot fighting for the same business? And how do customers decide which store gets their money? The organic markets make more sense. A seller's fruit might be sweeter, their vegetables bigger, or their seafood fresher. But on the shoe street, Nikes are Nikes are Nikes.
Unless they're knockoffs.
Our next street was the flower market, and it was stunning. Dozens of stores and stalls selling all types of flowers and plants. The smells and the colors were dazzling. Bird Street was next door, housing hundreds of caged birds, while nearly as many wild birds flew free, feasting on the scraps and spills of their jailed relatives. It's got to be frustrating for those looking out from the inside. For a snack, Heike got a pastry, while John picked up a whole fuchsia dragon fruit, but not a knife or spoon to help him eat it. Somehow, despite mowing it down like Ralph Wiggum with tobacco or Guy Fieri doing the hunch on Triple D, he managed not to spill on his gray shorts.
Or on my pretty white striped dress.
We took the subway under Kowloon and the harbor to Hong Kong Central Station. where we walked up into the city. Because Hong Kong scales the hills, with steep steps and inclines everywhere, there are outdoor escalators to help get the elderly, the disabled, and the lazy tourists up to where they want to go. We were going up to visit the zoological and botanical gardens. The lush green grounds were very pretty, and a nice break from the horrible air quality, constant noise, and shadowed, skyscraper-lined streets that dominate Hong Kong. Some animal areas were closed for upkeep, but we still saw otters, monkeys and gibbons, and a myriad of birds. Going back down to Victoria Harbour was much less taxing than going up. It was still daylight, and we were on the opposite side of the water, a very different experience than the night before. We walked east along the promenade from the ubiquitous Ferris wheel
Every tourist city seems to have one these days.
to North Point Ferry Pier, while the sun slowly dropped and eventually set in the distance behind us, filling the sky with vibrant colors. We took the ferry back to Kowloon. At $2, it's the cheapo version of the popular harbor cruises with a similar experience. The next morning we indulged in a couple of local baked goods before saying goodbye. A sweet pineapple bun
Shape, not flavor.
with a slab of salted butter, and a Hong Kong egg tart.
It's different than the Portuguese version.
And that was it for Hong Kong. Definitely worth seeing, but 48 hours was enough for us.